Abortion is a very contentious issue in the United States because of its religious, political and socialistic gradient. Before 24 July 2022, abortion was constitutional right provided by the US Supreme Court through its 1973 historical Roe vs. Wade verdict. But in 24 July, the US Supreme Court changed its own 1973 verdict and gives individual states the power to set their own abortion laws. The verdict was overturned by 6-3 majority. The verdict is likely to have large-scale ramifications across the United States and as well as across the world. The United States already facing criticism from its own allies, and widespread protests have been happening against this verdict in the United States. So this is the topic is very important from the fundamental point of view and personal choice point of view and also the human rights point of view. And I would like to tell you every nook and corner of this topic in the form of questions and statements. And I would like to give you my own point of view and where the India stand on their own abortion issues. First, we will going to discuss Roe vs. Wade verdict. What actually happened then and why happened then and who was Roe. Before the Supreme Court of United States, the decision of Roe vs. Wade and Doe vs. Bolton had decriminalized abortion nationwide in 1973. Abortion was already legal in several states, but the decision in the former case imposed uniform framework state legislation on the subject. That's why the verdict was historic for all women across the United States. The verdict gave constitutional right to pregnant women liberty to choose to have an abortion. The decision struck down many federal and the state abortion laws. And since then, abortion issue has been raised by people from every strata. The case was brought by Norman McCorvey, known by the legal pseudonym Jane Roe, who in 1969 became pregnant with a third child. McCorvey wanted an abortion, but she was living in Texas, and in Texas, where the abortion was illegal, except when necessary to save the mother's life. So, she filed the case against the state law through her attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey. The lawsuit was filed on her behalf in U.S. federal court against her local district attorney Henry Wade, alleging that Texas abortion law was unconstitutional. The 3-judge panel of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas ruled in her favor and declared Texas abortion status unconstitutional. After that, the parties appealed this ruling to the Supreme Court of the United States. On January 22, 1973, the Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision holding that the due process clauses of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution provides a fundamental right to privacy, which protects the pregnant woman's right to an abortion. The court also held that the right of abortion is not an absolute right. It must be balanced against the government interest in protecting the woman's health and prenatal life. The Supreme Court decision in Roe was among the most controversial in US history, and it has also become historic. Roe was criticized by some legal community. Some have called the decision a form of judicial activism. Judicial activism is very prevalent term for Indian Supreme Court also. Despite criticism of Roe, the Supreme Court reaffirmed its central holding in its 1992 decision on Planned Parenthood versus Casey verdict, but all go in vain on June 24, 2022. The Supreme Court overruled Roe in Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization verdict. The actual case was about constitutionality of 2018 Mississippi state law. Now the natural question is, what is Mississippi state law and what Mississippi state did? In 2018, the Republican majority legislature of the state of Mississippi banned most abortion after 15 weeks, much before fetal viability, and that was sooner than what actually given by Roe versus Wade verdict. So it was a direct challenge to Roe versus Wade. Then the last remaining abortion clinic in the state of Mississippi, Jackson Women's Health Organization, which provides abortion services up to 16 weeks of pregnancy, challenged the law. And in November that year, U.S. District Judge Carlton Reeves struck it down, ruling it unequivocally violated constitutional rights of women. On March 2019, the Texas Republican Governor Phil Bryant signed the so-called heartbeat abortion law. Through this law, more restrictive measures were imposed against abortion once fetal cardiac activity could be detected, which is about 6 weeks. So technically abortion was banned in Texas too. The heartbeat law also said that the physician who performed an abortion after a fetal heartbeat could have their medical license revoked. The law also made no exception for pregnancies caused by rape or incest. but the law was blocked by district judge. In February 2020, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans agreed with the decision. Anyway, the law reached the Supreme Court and the verdict is in front of you. A verdict was obvious when a draft opinion of judgment was leaked last month. Now the question is, why the decision of Supreme Court is so important? The issue of abortion has sharply split opinion among conservative and liberals in the United States for decades. Until few years ago, the challenge to Roe versus Wade would have been unlikely to succeed. But the character of Supreme Court changes after the appointment of conservative judges during Donald Trump's presidency. The Donald Trump appointed 3 judges during his tenure. The Justice Neil Gorsuch in 2017, Justice Brett Kavanaugh in 2017, and anti-abortion supporter Justice Amy Coney Barrett in 2018. The clear conservative majority in Supreme Court gave the conservative their best chance for decades to overturn Roe. Because of this verdict, much of the American Midwest and the Southwest state will impose total ban on abortion. And these states are poor. It has already created ripple across the world as a verdict for conservative right-wing opinion. Abortion is not only about conservative and liberals. It also has religious angle in US. The Pew Research Center has already published the American view regarding abortion, in which they also came up with religious angle. The public discourse about abortion too often frame the anti-abortion movement as a religious one, while those who support reproductive rights are assumed to be more secular. The narrative erases the fact that there is a long history of religious activism to expand access to abortion, as well as the public opinion polls also proves that the most religious Americans do not want Roe versus Wade overturned. The attitudes about whether the abortion should be legal or not vary widely by religious afflictions. According to Pew Research Center, around 75% of evangelical Protestants says that the abortion should be illegal in at least most instances. By comparison, a 63% white Protestants who are not evangelical say abortion should be legal in all or most cases. So, abortion definitely have religious angle in US, and it is definitely affecting their political view. The Pew Research Center also came up with other data that broadly suggested that the Americans are in the favor of legal abortion. Around 60% Americans says that the abortion should be legal in all or most cases. Only 40% says that it should be illegal in all or most cases. We are seeing long divided political partitions in American society regarding legality of abortion. The partition gap is now considerably wider than it was in the past. The Democrats support abortion in most cases. In case of Republicans, the view on this matter is absolutely opposite. 72% Democrats and 39% Republicans support legal abortion in all or most cases. The sizable minorities of Republicans and Democrats said in the 2019 survey that they do not agree with the dominant position on abortion policy of their respective parties. But when it came to the Supreme Court 1973 landmark abortion ruling, 7 in 10 Americans said in the country's 2019 survey that they would like to see the Supreme Court completely overturn the Roe versus Wade decision, which is very peculiar, but became truthful in 2022. In a December 2017 survey, roughly 48% Americans said having an abortion is morally wrong, while 20% said that it is morally acceptable, and 31% said that it is not a moral issue. What will happen now? Those who are standing in the favor of legal abortion, because it has become meaningless now, then what will happen to the US now? Since there is no federal law protecting the right to abortion in the United States, most of the Republican states or conservative states likely to bring back strict restrictions regarding abortion. There are 13 states who will go for total ban on abortion effective immediately with changing in state laws. These states are Kentucky, Louisiana, South Dakota, Idaho, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Utah, and Wyoming. 9 more states are also standing in the line. So, total 22 states will impose total ban on abortion. Because of that, the number of legal abortion in US could fall at least by 14%. So things have become complicated due to court's reverse verdict after 50 years. This will have negative implications of restricting abortion cases. The women will have to travel long distance to avail legal abortion in democratically ruled states. It will put health risk on women when they will have to go through illegal abortion clinics. According to the World Health Organization, 25 million unsafe abortions take place every year around the world, and among them up to 37% women die. A recent study also estimated that banning abortion in the US would lead to a 21% increase in the number of pregnancy-related deaths. Among those 21%, 33% increase would be in black women. Increased deaths due to unsafe abortions or attempted abortions would be in addition to these estimates. Also, ban on abortion would affect poor women, single mother, and pregnant girls aged between 15 to 20. There are at least 50 countries including Mexico, Argentina, New Zealand, Thailand and Ireland liberalize their abortion rules. And there is a few countries where the abortion is more restricted or totally illegal, including El Salvador, Nicaragua, Poland, Syria and the various others. So United States is now analogous to the country like El Salvador and Syria. Among all these, where India stands in pregnancy law, India's Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 allows abortion until 20 weeks of pregnancy. Through an amendment in 2021, the ceiling for abortion was raised to 24 weeks, but only for special categories of pregnant women, such as rape or incest survivor, that too with the approval of 2 registered doctors. In case of fetal disability, there is no limit to the timeline for abortion, but that is allowed by the medical board or the specialist doctor set up by government of states and union territories. In India's pregnancy, it is a very different issue. It is a more socialistic issue than that of religious or political. In America, it is totally different. It is kind of religious and political. So, so-called democracy and the champion of human rights cannot even protect their own women legally. With Roe versus Wade overturned, activists are already afraid that the judgment could have a domino effect on another rights like contraception and same-sex marriage. According to me, US being a democracy is violating the women's right. They are denying the women to exercise their right to their own body. In US, being a woman, if they won't have the right to choose regarding their own body, then why the US lecture others on the human rights and the religious right? US is one of the hypocrites of the world. They claim that their nation is the safest in the world, but all Americans need gun, and the gun violence is increasing exponentially. And the other European and the Asian countries are criticizing US to fail to protect the women's right. Their own actresses are describing their own verdict as terrified and disturbing. Then, where is the credibility of US law? Where is their so-called democracy and liberty? And why they call themselves as a champion of democracy and human rights protects? They have to think twice before making comments about the other countries. The countries like India. So now the questions. The first question is, an average pregnancy lasts for about how many weeks? The first option is 28 weeks, second is 32 weeks, third is 40 weeks, fourth is 36 weeks. The second question is, women in their 30s and the 40s can have healthy pregnancies but are at the risk of which condition? The first option is chronic fatigue syndrome, second is diabetes, third is high blood pressure, fourth is B and the C both. So this is the end of the topic. If you have any question regarding this topic or any other things, you can inquire through my email address, which is tuhin.power.academy@gmail.com. I hope you will found this topic informative. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.